Barai, founder of Fire Compass. At Fire Compass, we are using agentic AI to automate pen testing and red teaming. We have some really wonderful and fascinating future, is what we believe, which is going to be very different from at least what I imagined 2 years back. And all of you know Bruce. He's one of the most respected security minds on the planet. He's a professor at Harvard, very well-known cryptographer and best-selling author, and he has redefined how we think about hacking, cybersecurity, and also digital trust. So, Bruce, do you want to add something before we get started?
Sure. I mean, we should just say how we met, right? Because we ran into each other randomly at the RSA conference this year. I think it was one of the lounges. I was getting breakfast. You were there, I think, with some of your people, and we started talking. And I was interested in what you were doing, and I've learned more. We've done things together, and it's sort of interesting to look at sort of all the different ways AI is affecting cybersecurity. And pen testing, I think, is a really interesting one because it's such a human-centric activity. So if it can be automated, things get really interesting. So yes, last month I published my book on AI and democracy. It's largely optimistic. It's not about the US, it's about the world. And it is about all the different ways that technology is affecting democracies around the world. And I take that very broadly. I look at AI in elections, AI in politics, the first part, AI in legislating, AI in government administration, AI in the courts, and then AI in citizens. And it is interesting to see all the different places where these technologies are changing balances of power and ways things work, and it's still ongoing. I see examples from around the world all the time that haven't gotten in the book because they came too late for the book.
Yeah, interesting. So Bruce, you spoke about like how we met, and I remember, I think the way I described what the area where I was working on at that point in time was, we are using AI to automate attack trees. And I believe you are one of the creators of the concept of attack trees, right? And interestingly, the attack trees are now being not just used in the context of cybersecurity, but in the context of everything, politics to everything, I guess, right? And AI is bringing in a very interesting twist into that. And let's start with your book a little bit. You mentioned about the hacker's mind and you can talk about how you define hacking. You're the best person to talk about, but if I got it right, like you mentioned about following the rules but breaking their intent, right? So
yeah, that's about right. And I always think of hacking as following the letter of the law but breaking the spirit, which is kind of what it is when we do it in computers, right? We look at the code. The code is the law. It is what the computer does. And we figure out ways that it does things that its designers and creators never intended, right? And that is a vulnerability, right? That is a vulnerability in the code. It's a mistake, and a mistake can be exploited to do something in particular. And then that sort of general notion applies to non-computer code. I mean, the tax code is a computer code, but it's a series of algorithms. Right, there are you put in numbers and you do some calculating. You figure out how much tax you owe, and so that code has vulnerabilities. We call them tax loopholes, and it has exploits. We call them tax avoidance strategies, and it has black hat hackers. We call them accountants, and these black hat hackers, these accountants, are looking through the code, looking for vulnerabilities they can exploit to make money. That is what tax lawyers do. And it's very analogous to programmers looking through source code, looking for vulnerabilities. And you can think about that in any system of rules. And our society is full of systems of rules. And people are hacking them all the time, all through history. We could look at sort of modern ones that involve elections. I know the United States mostly, but other countries as well. And this is a book I wrote a few years ago, And there are lots of different ways people have hacked political systems, economic systems, social systems. And this is very hard to deal with because we are, as people, rules exploiters. That's what we do. As kids, we do it, right? You say bedtime is 8 o'clock, but did you really mean 8 o'clock? Maybe you meant this other time zone. And can I be in bed but read with the flashlight on? I'm still in bed, right? This is all hacking, right? It's taking the rule and figuring out the loopholes.
So Bruce, I remember when we met for breakfast, we were talking about the problem which we are trying to solve in the context of pen testing. And I think I was putting it more as like the three blindness of the coverage and the testing frequency and stuff like that. And I remember you came up with this thoughts of 4S in the context, not just of testing. In your book, you talk about like hacking and the future in a very broad manner, right? Like, and that was very interesting when you spoke about this 4S. It'll be great to hear about that. And I'm sure you mentioned about that in the book as well, right? What are these 4S out there?
So this is in my book. This is in Rewiring Democracy. And what the 4S's are ways to think about AI replacing or augmenting humans. It's not that the AI has to be better in every way, but the AI has to be superior in one of these four ways: speed, scale, scope, or sophistication. Right? So a trained human is actually better than any AI system at detecting spam, right? At noticing a spam email. Trained human. But when you get 1 million emails a second, it is impossible for a trained human to do it. So an AI, even though it's less good at it, is a superior solution just because it is faster. So speed. The second is scale. Now, the reason we're worried about AI chatbots on social media is that someone could deploy thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of them. Right? 2016, Russia had 100 or so humans in a building in St. Petersburg producing propaganda for the US election. Now they have hundreds of thousands of chatbots doing that automatically through AI. Even though it's not as good, the scale makes it superior. And third is scope. The reason these LLMs are so powerful is that they have infinite scope. They can do anything. They're not very good at anything, but they can do it all. Their scope is much greater than any single human. And the last one is sophistication. And I mean this very particular. It doesn't necessarily mean it is smarter than a human. By sophistication, we mean that it can hold more variables in mind, that it can do more complex things than humans can. And the easy example are the chess playing AIs. If you watch an AI play chess, or better yet, watch it play the game of Go, the Japanese game. The game of Go is much more complex than chess, right? 19 by 19 board, you can move anywhere at any time. So the number of possible moves explodes exponentially really fast. And if you watch an AI play, right now AIs are grandmaster Go players. And if you watch an AI play Go, they do not play Go like a human does. They play Go kind of like an alien, because the AI can look at the entire board at once in a way a human cannot. And so the AI that basically won a Nobel Prize this year in protein folding was able to do more sophisticated modeling than humans could, because the AI can hold more variables in mind. So those are the 4 S's: speed, scale, scope, and sophistication. Right? So, so map that onto pen testing. Right? Pen testing is a human activity. Right? It requires expertise. It requires patience. It requires maybe some luck. And that's what the human does, is it acts like a bad guy and tries to break into a network. Maybe it has more information, it does it methodically, and the goal is to identify vulnerabilities that the defender hopefully will patch. Right? So that takes a long time. An AI can do that faster. So even if the human is better, the AI is faster. Right? So that sounds like a plus. Right? The scale. a firewall works all the time. But so the scale of an AI just makes it a different thing. The scope, right? That if we build the AI properly, it will be an expert at all possible configurations, all possible products. I mean, this is aspirational, but it could do a better job than any human team because it'll just have a greater scope. And now sophistication. And here we don't know, can it find vulnerabilities that humans can't? So a lot of research in this. I've written essays in, we're seeing it, and AI is being used by hackers. So we are seeing AIs being used to discover new vulnerabilities, to automate hacking, right? To do those various pieces. How much of that can we use in the defense? Is the AI able to find vulnerabilities that humans can't? So those are the 4 S's. And I think pen testing, vulnerability scanning, all of that is ripe for revolution by a non-human that is doing these very human tasks.
So Bruce, it's very interesting. The way you kind of put it together is so fascinating. Like when we raised a couple of rounds of funding, and when we went and pitched to our investors, I was kind of pitching the problem in a similar manner, but not using this 4S. And I really love the 4S. So a very interesting story. I remember this is like 10 years back when I was doing my previous startup, which is now part of Synopsys. We got eventually acquired. So I was talking to one of the CTOs of publicly traded companies, and we were talking about like better, faster, cheaper. And he mentioned like Bikash, choose any two. I mean, that's good enough. So if you think of 4S, apparently it looks like even if we can do like a couple of things really well, better than the humans, it's great, right? But here's a very interesting thing, Bruce, which you mentioned in the context of pen testing. This is what we are seeing. In the context of speed, definitely AI is going to do much better, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer. In case of scale as well, we have our platform which we can auto scale, we can scale horizontally, so it can scale better. There's no question on that. And scope as well, we can do that, right? All the 3. Now, when it comes to sophistication, here are some very interesting things which we are seeing these days, and Bruce, you will find it very interesting. Around 6 months back, our AI versus humans, and we always pitch the AI against the humans in our own research team. Like the AI could do like 60%, 70% of what the humans could do. And now this is very interesting. Like I have a belief that, and I used to tell people, you know what, in a year we should be there as an industry that AI will be better than 99% of the pen testers out there. And this is very interesting. A week back, we were doing a testing for one of the largest financial services companies in the US. And we have something like a scoreboard. And when some of these tests happen, we do like this bake-off against humans. So it's like man versus machine or human versus machine. So on day 1, here's the result. Day 1 was 7-0, 7 AI, 0 humans. Day 2, it was 9 AI, 2 humans. And even right now, AI is winning against the humans. Now, we did not see this kind of thing like 6 months back. So it's very interesting, not like entirely surprising, but I think we are almost there, that when it comes to sophistication as well, in case of pen testing, AI is about to kind of cross 99% of the human beings. We have seen the same thing happening when it comes to writing content, writing or creating images and stuff like that, right? I think we are almost there in case of pen testing. That's a kind of, you may say, entrepreneurs, but we're seeing the numbers right now.
It's interesting. We're seeing AI being able to be a hacker improve faster than we expected. So it's not just this specific aspect of finding vulnerabilities, but in automating the whole chain. Anthropic has noticed government hackers using their platform to automate attacks. OpenAI has as well. We're seeing research papers. Sometimes the leaderboards on some of these vulnerability disclosure sites are AIs and not people. And then you're right. It has been in the past 6 months that there has been some change in this ability of AIs to find and exploit vulnerabilities. Now, from the attack side, this is very worrying because now this means the ability to go from, I want to break into a system to I've already broken into the system, here's what I've gotten, is faster and is available to more people, right? So you don't have to be an expert, that you can automate most of that process right now. And I think you'll soon be able to automate all of it. So I do worry about this on the attacker side. It is nice to hear it being used on the defender side as well. And the benefit, and what I really want is for this automatic vulnerability detection to be combined with automatic vulnerability patching. Because if the AI can find the vulnerability, can't the AI just fix it? Now, this would revolutionize cybersecurity because suddenly vulnerabilities disappear immediately, like all of them, all the time. The scanner's built into the compiler. Bug-free code is released, normally. Code that's in the field is patched in real time. Now, this will be hard. A lot of software licenses don't allow it. So we have to really think about what it'll be like to have a network that is in some sense living, that is constantly self-modifying based on what it discovers. Right? And then this vulnerability finding, this pen testing, is now just the first step of a complex self-healing architecture ecosystem. I'm making this up. That could work. Now, AIs get it wrong, and we have to be very careful about letting AI make changes in our production environment, because if it gets it wrong, it screws up a lot of bad things. But in theory, we can see where this is headed, and I think it's all pretty exciting.
Yeah, Bruce, this is very interesting. I believe that we probably will get there. My focus had been more on the offensive side. And one thing which I'm noticing, and this could be in a way scary as well, and I hope and believe that the vision which you mentioned becomes true. So I'm seeing we remember this, what we used to call this, the digital divide or something like that, Bruce, long time back. Was it digital divide? Yeah, there was something called digital divide we used to talk about, right? I think we are now...
It still exists, right? It hasn't gone away, but yes.
Yeah, it hasn't gone away, but it has reduced. I think there's a situation of a great AI divide. And the reason why I believe that there's a great AI divide right now is because just look at the industry. Even today, 90% of the companies do annual pen testing. And they do annual pen testing on 20% of their assets. And the scope is very narrow scope pen testing. That means I'm going to attack this system and find out issues in that. How about breaking into another peripheral system and doing lateral movement from that? These are not even covered as a part of the pen testing. So when it comes to speed, scale, sophistication, in all the aspects, the traditional model of today, what is happening in 90% of the industry, it looks almost like a dinosaur. So the moment AI becomes more, gets into the hands of the bad guys, the bad actor, and it has gone into, you were mentioning about this research from Anthropic, which they released, and what they observed, right? So it's getting there. So suddenly, this divide which is there is going to widen in a very big manner. So there's, as much as I see, yes, there's this great potential for the future where we can do automated patching and all, but I think we have an immediate short term, a lot of difficult times, right? And then we'll go through that and we're going to have a much better world, I'm sure. So what's your thought in terms of today with the AI in the context of the bad actors and the good actors? So how do you see the fight or the game panning out?
So a couple of things. To answer your final question first, often the bad guys are more agile. Right? They're able to use the new technology faster. So any technology that can find vulnerabilities can be used by the bad guys or the good guys. but the bad guys will make use of them quicker. Using AI tools to break into systems, that is making it more risky out there. And we're not yet at the point where the defenders have these tools, have these AI tools built into their products. Right? This development cycle, it's harder. You got to buy things, you got to install them, whereas the attacker is much more nimble. Right? So you're right. Short term, I think we're going to have some dangerous times. Long term, I think it looks better for the defenders. Right? Because having these tools in the defense is a huge change in defensive ability. But I want to tug on something you said in the beginning about, small changes, big changes. I think of this as changes in degree versus changes in kind. And you see that in many areas through the world. Right? I mean, if you think about cars, when cars were invented, you can travel faster than horses. That was a change in degree. But really, an automobile is different than a horse. And the invention of a suburb is a change in kind. It's a different kind of thing. So AI will let you do the things you already did, right? Either faster or more sophisticated or a greater scope. But you push that forward enough and it becomes a different thing. Right? If you do pen testing continuously, it's no longer pen testing. It's something else that we don't have a name for. Right? It is not just we're doing pen testing faster and more often. We're doing a different sort of thing, a continuous real-time vulnerability monitoring thing, which, at some point some analyst will give a name to, and it'll be a product category. But it's a different animal. And I don't think we're at that different animal yet, but in many uses of AI in society, and think about, AI giving you, turn-by-turn directions, right, is a different thing than just AI being better at navigating, right? Because suddenly that enables a driverless car. That enables Uber, right? I mean, things that just weren't possible before. And AI will do a lot of those things. We don't know where yet. They're very hard to predict because we're predicting second order effects. So it's really easy to say, well, cars make you go faster. A lot harder to say, and then people will organize in these communities that'll look this way, have these capabilities and characteristics because the automobile allows for this different type of living. Right? Those are very different things and much harder to predict. Or, I don't know, the internet, we all knew would allow you to buy and sell things. But to think of eBay is a different sort of animal.
Absolutely. So, Bruce, you got me thinking, and a couple of interesting points. Like, I remember, we tried to file for a patent for, this is early 2004, file for a patent for multi-stage attack automation. This is we had been in this for a pretty long time. And we tried to automate this attack tree thing at that point in time. And we filed for that, maybe not 2004, maybe 2006. This is in my previous venture, creating automated attack trees. And the challenge which we faced was that the moment you try to do multi-stage attacks, you think of each of these states, the state is a function of multiple things, like the node as well as its configuration, so many things, right? You have a state, and there are the next steps, you got to predict the next steps. And we were thinking of making something create a graph, create a comprehensive attack graph and kind of stuff. And what the challenge which we faced was the moment you hit just 30, 40 nodes, that's it. There was such kind of it was a p-space complete problem. So it just became too hard to solve, even with small set of nodes. And then we got some ideas to prune it and file for a patent. Interestingly, the patent got denied. There was somebody 1 year back filed for that patent. But then we modified that and we got patent with a slightly different kind of thing. Anyway, so we tried to do that at that point in time. But if you look at today, the way we are using agentic AI is a very different approach. We don't need to compute the attack graph fully. We're doing it without computing the attack graph. So the nature or the way of solving the problem has changed. So similarly, what you mentioned, this continuous thing is a different animal. That animal, what we thought is going to plan and execute attack a decade back versus today, it's a very different approach. Similarly, the continuous pen testing, continuous red teaming is also very different. It's not like doing things sequentially one after another. The way we have done it is like there are triggers. Like if this happens, it triggers a specific sequence. So it's event based. Rather, a lot of things happening in sequence at a faster scale. It's not. The machine is completely different when we look at the continuous pen testing. The way it plans is completely different. So it's like moving from Stone Age to the Metal Age. I mean, it's no longer using stones. It's a different kind of stuff, right? So that's like as you were telling me, I was kind of thinking, went back like 2 decades, and I was thinking about that. Let me ask you something on this non-determinism aspect of AI. And a great example is when the anti-spam first came up. Like it was simple, pure, like knife-based classifiers. When it came up first, suddenly the effectiveness went up tremendously from that rule-based to just a statistical model. Then further, a lot of other things happen. Now today, kind of defeating an anti-spam is not very easy, right? Like it has become way more difficult than those rule-based systems. So with AI in testing, with AI in security operations, there is this element of non-determinism in the models, which has got both the good sides, because you may get some great positive surprises, you can get some negative surprises as well. But what do you think this non-determinism in these statistical models or the AI models going to shape the future?
I mean, it's interesting because it's much more human-like. I mean, so listening to your story, trying to do a comprehensive attack tree, a whole graph, is a very early 2000s big data way of thinking about it. Right? We're going to get all the data and we're going to put it in a giant data set and we're going to analyze it. Right? That's what we did back then. And you're right, some problems weren't amenable to that because the data was just too weird, too non-structured. It had too many connections. We just couldn't do it. It couldn't make sense of it. Whereas an AI approach, as you said, is non-deterministic. It's kind of more analogous to a human intuition. Now, it is not intuitive. I mean, these are not humans, but it does mirror those kinds of thinking patterns. And it does seem more amenable to this kind of free-form way of thinking about vulnerabilities. And I should step back and give the audience like maybe a minute on what attack trees are. So we're just talking about it. Think of them as an A/B tree for how to attack a system. So we'll do an attack tree for your house, right? The attacker can go through the door, or can go through the windows, or maybe there are 2 doors, and we would set those up as hacker can do one of those 3. Right. So now we have to secure those 3 things. Our security is the weakest. And then we'll look at each node. In order to go through the window, the attacker either has to break the glass or open the window. So now we can look at defenses. We can have a window lock. We can have shatterproof glass. We can have an alarm system. Now the attacker has to defeat the alarm system. And then we can model that. So we're building this entire tree of possibilities where the attacker can do different ways to get to the goal, and we look at the different defenses that the attacker might have to defeat, and that's how we think about security of our home. And you can imagine the same thing for a network. It'll be much more complicated, but that's a general idea. Right? So we can, if we want to model this, build the entire attack tree for the network. Right? So you have this brand of firewall. Well, now we know all the vulnerabilities, all the security measures of that firewall. We put that in. There's a data center and there's a door lock and it's made by this company. Well, now we know how you can defeat that door lock. You can pick the lock or use, whatever kind of systems. I don't know anything about lock picking. So that's the big data way of doing it. Or you can say to an AI, here's what we got. Figure out how to break into the system. And it kind of does a similar thing, but it does it in a non-deterministic way, which means 2 things. It could miss something, or it could find something you hadn't thought of yet. Now, this is very analogous to a human pen test team. It is not, there's methodology, but it is not a deterministic process. And I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and then Bruce, the interesting thing is, like, I'm moving slightly.
And so the real question to ask here, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch, we don't know, will this make the best pen testers better? So 90%, it does better than. But can it improve that 90%? Can the AI working with the human do even better than either? Now, this could go either way. So I don't know. So chess is probably a good example of the way it worked. For beginning of time till what, 1990s, humans were better at chess. Then, Deep Blue, the best AI beats the best human. But at that point, a good AI plus a good human working together beats either the best human or the best AI. And that was the truth for, 5 or 6 years. And then suddenly the AIs are now better than everybody else.
Exactly.
And I might go the same way.
Like we really don't know the future, but I have a gut feeling, Bruce, here that, and before I come to the gut feeling, here's an interesting thing which I'm observing in the context of like normal chat GPT and things like that for writing some emails or doing some analysis and stuff like that. That it's only if you know what you are looking for, if you have a good clarity in your mind what you are looking for, you will be able to extract that from ChatGPT. A person who doesn't know what the person is looking for will get an inferior answer. So you will see with the same kind of goal with two different persons, one goes and asks ChatGPT and gets a brilliant answer, and somebody else goes and doesn't get a great answer. So, like using ChatGPT in the right manner in the context of creating something. I mean, there are some people who are doing it well, some people who are not doing it well. So in the context of pen testing, the question is like, will there be something like that? Like you pose this question, like, will it be able to elevate 90% of the normal pen testers to the next level? So I have a gut feeling that it is not going to be easy. I think as human beings, we have to move from what we do today into something slightly different. What we do as pen testing today, I think that job role in that manner is not going to be there. It's going to change. So it's very hard to define, but I have a strong gut feeling like AI is going to become, like in case of pen testing, what has happened to chess is going to happen to pen testing. But there will be some narrow scoped areas which are fundamentally new and things like that, new technology stack coming up, something very new. In those scope, there will be humans who will do better. But for the known chess game, AI is just going to defeat humans in every possible way.
And this is because most networks are, they're the same, right? I mean, they're different, but they're not crazy different. And
the same AI is going to win.
So I think you're right that there will be this area of creativity that for a long time humans will excel at. But most of pen testing is work a day, right? It doesn't require a lot of human expertise. And more generally, I mean, you're writing, and I see this in my students, that using AI, using generative AI is a matter of understanding how to write a prompt. And those who do get much better results than those who just type in, write me an essay on this topic. That a good prompt might take half an hour to write. And it's long and it's complicated. And that gives you the best performance of the AI. But this is where all the middleware comes in, right? You're not asking network users to write prompts. You are creating a product where you have written the prompts, where you have done the work, where you are the expert in getting the AI to do the thing that the user wants. And I think that is very broadly a lot of the future of the system. If I want an AI as a travel agent, I'm not going to just pull up ChatGPT. There's going to be a travel agent AI with a very complex prompt written by a travel agent company that makes that travel agent AI work well. Because I don't know enough to do it. I don't have the time. So I think these specialized AI applications require this fine-tuning, this pre-prompting, all the middleware between the person and the model going this way, and then the model's output and the person going that way.
Exactly. So that's exactly, in a way, we are doing the same, Bruce, in the sense, I'm just changing the language a little bit. Instead of using the word prompting, I'm calling it as understanding the context.
So I use the word context a lot, and I think it's a really good word to use. Context,
because a lot of times people try to just write a prompt, but they miss the moon. It's like the saint points at the moon, but the people looks at the finger. Like it's not the finger, the prompt, it's the context which we are serving through the prompt, right?
And a lot of times when AI gets it wrong, it's because it doesn't understand the context.
Exactly.
Most of us as humans, we get our context implicitly. I walk down the street and there's a whole context of what I'm allowed to do, what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, with whom, strangers, people I know. I've learned that since birth. That's all about context. And we as humans have very deep notions of context and when it changes, right? A policeman walks by, it's a different context, right? An ambulance and two, medics with carrying a stretcher come by, it's a different context. AIs can't do that as well. And this is where some people are thinking that large language models are a dead end and we'll need some other paradigm. Because there seems to be a limit in how well an LLM can understand context.
So we had to build the intelligence of context.
Yeah.
Because that's not available with the normal ones. So it's our pen testers and our researchers, they're adding those contexts and training it. And every day they're making the product better, right? So we are kind of adding the context and giving it to
the early days of the internet, when things just get better magically while you sleep every day. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing, and since we have so many CH folks out there, the future of the hackers, ethical hackers, pen testers is not going to be something like what was 1 year back. Like the job role is going to drastically change, and nobody knows exactly how it is going to be, but we know for sure that it's going to be drastically different. So one thing which I believe is going to be very important is to have the first principle thinking. Mm-hmm. Having the first principle thinking, a lot of curiosity, and understanding the context, and not just going with the rules, because the rule-based idea and thinking, AI is going to do much better. So I think that is probably going to be very, very important. And Bruce, I'd love to I would have asked this question a little bit later, but what's your message for the pen testers out there? There's like 500,000 CH out there. So what do you think? Like, what would be your message for them?
There are two things working. We're talking about automatic testing and happening in the background, but there's also an entire parallel track of AI-assisted human pen testing, and that's going to be also incredibly valuable. My guess is the future is going to still have these once a year, once a quarter human pen tests, and in the background, this sort of automatic, continuous vulnerabilities scanning. So the technology is here. I think it's going to be very valuable, and we'll get to see how it works. But experiment with it is really my advice.
That's great. That's wonderful. And Bruce, as you mentioned about this, like AI as an assistant versus AI as a master, do you see AI becoming the master, the guru, and not the assistant? And if you see that, when?
So this is something you can't predict. So I don't have any. I don't have any notion that
it can happen or it will happen. What's your thought?
It could. We don't actually know, and we don't know. So I don't think we can predict it, and it's going to depend on context. It really depends a lot on the details. You can't make those statements generally; they are very specific. So I don't know.
That's an interesting thing. I have a thought over there. So I feel like in narrow context, AI has got a fair chance of becoming the guru. It's not going to be the assistant. It's going to be like the teacher in narrow context. Now, the AGI thing, I haven't really explored that much. And I know there are other folks who have done more. My focus had been more on the narrow AI rather than the general purpose AI. But if narrow AI can be a master in a field, that itself is great, right? If we look back.
Take something as easy as reading chest x-rays. If an AI is better than a human
problems which we have in the industry, right? Like too many false positives, too many alerts. Like if AI solves these, like, and we are at a place where we are kind of very confident that as an industry we'll solve it. Like the false positives are a mess. I mean, this can be taken care of. Like we shouldn't have, like in application DAS tools, like 70% false positives. Doesn't make any sense. I think these things, if AI solving it, that itself is a great leap, right? Like if it, as you mentioned in case of radiology, and I'm just bringing in a similar analogy in the context of pen testing, too many false positives, too many alerts. Like if you can solve the prioritization problem, like here's the evidence, here's the exploit, like you can exploit this, here's the attack tree, so you should prioritize. So that itself is a great value. And I believe we are absolutely solving that as an industry. At Fire Compass itself, like we have seen these things working beautifully well. So there are these low-hanging fruit, and if we can get that, that itself is great, even if we can't solve that AGI problem.
Yeah, and I think that is the right way to think. Always think compared to what, whenever you look at an AI application, and and don't judge it on its own, judge it to compare to the alternative. And often the human alternative isn't very good. Right? And yes, the AI will make mistakes. I think it's going to make mistakes in the foreseeable future. We don't know how to create mistake-free AI, but humans make mistakes. And what really matters is the type of mistakes. And to the extent that AIs make human sorts of mistakes, which is pretty good because we have like thousands of years of experience dealing with human mistakes. With AI makes different sorts of mistakes, then it's harder because we don't have any experience with these sorts of mistakes. And, right now we're seeing both. We're seeing human mistakes and we're seeing non-human mistakes.
So, Bruce, you speak quite a bit about the governance on the public AI versus private AI. What's your thoughts on public AI for cybersecurity?
I'm a big so for those who are not clear with the term. Right now, one of the problems with AIs is they're pretty much exclusively created for the near-term financial benefit of a very small group of people, right? California, American corporates, and the idea is that maybe there's another alternative, and the notion of public AI that is created by the public for the public, that is not created on the profit motive, would be an interesting thing to add to the mix. This was largely theoretical. We wrote about it in our book. And the neat thing is that since we wrote our book, things have been happening. Most exciting development comes from Switzerland. There's a model that's about a month old. It's called Apertus, and it was created by ETH Zurich and another university. They had some government funding. They used compute from the supercomputing center left over from particle physics days, and they created a model that is not using any illegally stolen copyright material, does not rely on any poorly paid global south labor, that is entirely open, not just the weights, but the training, the system, everything is open and available for public scrutiny. And it is free to use, completely and totally free for anyone to use. You can go online and use it right now. Performance is about the level as the best models of last year. So good, but not at the top. But orders of magnitude cheaper to create. And I think it's a really interesting change. I don't think this is going to replace corporate AI, but I think this will, be an addition into the ecosystem. One that's really welcome.
Great. That's very interesting. Bruce, I was thinking of let's finish it up with a few rapid fire questions. You can just give a short, a few word answer. Is that okay?
All right. I'm usually terrible at these. I'll try.
Okay. So you like surprises, I guess. So I just assumed it.
I'm ready. I'll dodge the questions if they're not good.
Great. So for AI in cybersecurity, if you could maximize one between speed, scale, scope, or sophistication, what would you focus on?
I think speed right now. I mean, we're already being attacked at computer speeds. The ability to defend at computer speeds would be a huge change in defensive posture.
Great. In 2030, what do you think is going to be more dangerous? A brilliant human hacker with no AI, or an average attacker with great AI agents?
Anyone who tells they can predict the future like that is lying, but I would go with the second.
The second one, okay. Yeah, it's just fun questions. So what do you think AI will break first at real scale? Is it going to be cybersecurity, democracy, or our sense of what is true and what is not?
I have no idea.
Okay, you can skip if you want. Then suppose like 5 years down the line, would you choose, like, what's your guess? Like AI red team agents or human red teamers?
All right, this is a guess because I don't know, but my guess is an AI would do more comprehensive a job. All right, because I'm not looking for the esoteric attack. I'm looking for the common ones. Exactly. I want to be comprehensive, and I want to find all the things I should worry about. If there's stuff out here, I'd love to know that too, but this is the stuff that matters.
So, and what do you think about privacy in like 2035 or 40? Do you think that it would be something like a luxury product or a regulated right, or you think it's basically going to be gone?
Well, it's both of those right now, right? If you are in the EU, it is highly regulated, GDPR. For a lot of people, it is a luxury product. It always has been. And if you're going to have a shell corporation and a butler that discreetly buys things for you, that requires money. I don't think it's an AI question. It really is a policy question. We need to get to a point where we ban surveillance capitalism, that it's an illegal business model, and it needs to be. I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. It'll happen eventually. But it is absolutely abhorrent that these systems are allowed to spy on you and then manipulate you. Like, how is this something we're okay with?
So, Bruce, I was about to ask another question, that if you could ban one use of AI, which one would you? Maybe you just answered it.
Oh, what are my choices?
I don't know. You can choose one use of AI which you want to ban.
Destroying the world. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's a very, like, a comprehensive one. Right?
Right. I feel like we should be able to agree on that one.
Great. So, in one word, what do you think AI is going to do to the future of offense?
Change it. 2 words.
Wonderful. So, Bruce, we'll leave some time out there if there's some questions. So we'll pause here. We have Shilpa and the EC Council team.
It looks like you can post questions on chat. There's also a question box. I don't know which one to use. I'm looking at both of them. So we'll see if there are any questions out there. I'm happy to answer them or not. I'm happy to evade them if they're, Yeah.
Shilpa, over to you.
Thank you, Bikash. I just wanted to remind you about the AI pen testing announcement you wanted to do.
Oh, yes. So for everybody in the audience, at Fire Compass, we have this AI agent for pen testing and red teaming. It covers like the infrastructure pen testing, as well as web application and API, as well as objective-based red teaming. So if some of you want to try that out, we'll be happy to get you a community edition. We will take the help of the EC Council team and send you a link for you to use it. And yeah, over to you, Shilpa. Anything else you want to talk about? The link is over there. Shilpa just shared the link. You can use that link and get a trial access for community edition.
So thank you very much, Bikash and Bruce, for delivering such an insightful and informative session. We found the webinar very engaging and hope it was valuable for you as well. So before we begin with the Q&A, I would like to inform all the attendees that this session is in sync with AC Council CPENT AI program. AC Council Certified Penetration Testing Professional CPENT AI is a fully AI integrated and advanced penetration testing certification built for allied professionals ready to lead the next era of offensive security. With hands-on training in live cyber dangers, real-world attack simulations and AI tools mapped to every phase of pen testing. Cpend AI, it equips you with a complete penetration testament, percent and record, vulnerability, discovery, exploitation, post-exploitation, lateral movement, and privilege escalation, right through to detailed reporting and remediation strategies. This methodology-driven approach ensures you think and operate like a true professional, strategically, ethically, and effectively. Cpens AI Live cyber rangers are immersed with real enterprise-grade networks with firewalls, VPNs, segmented LANs, and endpoint defenses. You will train across 5 multidisciplinary practice ranges. Cpens AI 24-hour practical exam simulates real-world enterprise environments, validating your skills in a live cyber battle, and those who score above 90% earn the prestigious licensed penetration tester master credential, proving expertise to top employers. With CPEN AI, you don't just pen test, you plan, execute, and lead full-scale engagements with confidence. If you're interested to learn more, please participate in the poll being conducted now. Let us know your preferred mode of training and we will reach out to you.
Great. So, if there's some place where we can get all the questions, please let us know. But I'll ask one question for Bruce. Like, Bruce, like, how did you get this idea of attack trees?
Oh, wow. I'm not sure I remember, right? This is what, early 2000s, late 90s? I'm thinking a lot about how attacks and defenses work and trying to have some comprehensive framework for thinking about them. It's one of several methodologies. Adam Shostak has a very good book called Threat Modeling. Wiley publishes it. And he goes through 4 or 5 different methodologies, of which attack trees are just one of them. And that was, I think it was just me trying to get my hands around the entire space of sort of attack versus defense, penetration testing, vulnerabilities, defenses, and so how to think about it in some comprehensive, complete way.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Bruce, any closing remark before?
I don't. I thought this conversation got through a lot of the interesting topics. This was fun.
Wonderful. So thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Bruce. Thanks, EC Council team. Thanks all of you for joining us today. Have a great day. And this is a wonderful new world. Just keep your mind open, be curious.
And it's going to change every few months.
All the best, everybody. Thank you so much.
I thought that was good.
Thank you, Bikash and Bruce. Can we start with the Q&A?
What?
Can we start with the Q&A round?
What does that mean? There have been no questions coming through. We think we're done. We think we're done with the entire hour.
No, actually, we had already informed and we got the questions from our audience. So,
this makes sense. So, I think we have 2 minutes left. We were all looking at the chat. We told people to post questions. We saw no questions. I was asked a question. I think this is over.
Okay, I think Bikash has left.
Yes, because we didn't get any questions on either the question feature or the chat, where we were told we would get them.
Yes. No. Actually, I had run the poll. So after that, we were going to give you the questions on the chat. Okay.
You should have told them that. I got to leave too.
Okay. So thank you so much, Bruce, for the message to our audience. Before we end the session, I would like to announce our next CyberTalk session, Disaster Recovery, Execution, Testing and Continuous Improvement, which is scheduled for December 8, 2025. This session is an expert presentation by a speaker, Benny Cleveland, AVP Cyber Incident Management Chuck. To register for this session, please do go and visit our website www.accu.edu/cybertalks. The link is given in the chat section. Hope to see you all on December 8th. With this, we end the session. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bruce.